You're at the doorstep of retirement. That's super cool, right? So you figured some things out. But how did you make it all work? Like, what was the secret to keeping the family safe and secure and not having people feel like they're struggling?
You can have fun and not go to Europe for vacations, Disney World every year.
He loved to entertain the baseball teams. We had a lot of parties during the summer.
Every year, with the hockey team always had parties at my house because we had the room. And that's all done through friends and stuff, so it didn't cost us a lot of money. We made do. You just make do.
Here we go. Another installment of Saturday State of Mind, joined today by George and Karen Morin, who have a pretty interesting, well, they have like a distinction around here being more than just clients, at least for you and I,
A reputation, you're saying?
It could be a reputational thing.
Okay, let's get into it right away.
Because they're like friends, maybe family at this point. The way I think of it is that on my phone, it tells you who your top 5 contacts are. And usually it's you. My mom's up there consistently, sometimes work, right? George has been finding his way like at 4 or 5, sometimes 3, as high as 3, for reasons that we'll get into because he's kind of the dog father in our lives, right?
Oh, the dog
So we'll have to talk about dogs in just a little bit. But thank you guys for joining us here.
Pleasure.
When we asked you to do this show, what kind of came across your minds? What were you thinking when you agreed to do this?
Oh my God, what are we thinking?
What did we say?
No, I was excited to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Just for that reason.
Okay.
What you just said. Yeah, because we feel the same way.
We really appreciate it.
Yep.
This is just supposed to be a conversation about where you're from, where you're going, what's important to you, like things that happened to your life along the way. And we'll get into all that. I always started like back at the beginning because for a lot of the people that we have relationships with, we just think of, how we met you like a year or 2 ago. We know you as being from New Hampshire, but are you even from here? Where did you guys grow up?
Lawrence, Mass.
Lawrence?
Yes, both of us.
Yep.
Okay. What was it like growing up in Lawrence? Can you share some of like maybe your earliest childhood memories?
That's the same city our parents and grandparents grew up in. It's a migrant city. It's a working class city. It has changed. That's the story for another interview.
Okay.
We were on the tail end of that, being at the end of the baby boomers. I think Karen is actually Generation Xer, 1966. But I'm
Good for you, George.
Yeah.
Well done.
But it was a great city. Every city has its boroughs. Lawrence is no different. They had their church. They had their pharmacy. They had their funeral home.
So, like, what kind of town was Lawrence when you were growing up? What kind of industry was there?
Textile mills.
Okay.
Mostly.
Now, is that where your family worked by any chance?
My grandparents.
Okay.
Yeah. My parents. My mother didn't work. She got married and had the kids in 1951. My father went World War II, came out, worked at the Pacific Mills, and then got a job at Charlotte Tire. And that's where we retired from.
Now, what was your family like? How many brothers and sisters do you
I
have?
had 2 brothers and 1 sister. I'm the baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's relatively small for a baby boom family.
Well, they started late. My father was 27. My mother was 18
Okay.
when they got married.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And your dad was in the service, you said?
Yeah, United States Navy. Yeah.
Okay.
World War II.
Where did he serve?
Oceana Beach, Virginia. He was very fortunate in that he stayed stateside. He was an aviation machinist mates.
He's very
second
fortunate.
class. Yeah.
Good for him.
But he was very proud of his service. And
Sure.
we're
Okay.
glad he didn't go overseas because who knows what would have happened.
Sure.
So what was it like growing up in Lawrence? Your brothers and sisters. What are some of your earliest memories?
Well,
like, what impressions do you have growing up?
Parochial school. Usually went to, and it wasn't as expensive as it is now. But for what they were making, it was a lot of money.
Okay.
So we all went to Sacred Heart School in South Lawrence. And my father worked right across the street. My father didn't venture very far from where he was born. He was born on Farley Street. He grew up on Brookfield Street. Everything was right there. Sacred Heart. It's like an old movie. The town, the borough was the center of their universe. So he come out of World War II, he right back to where he left off. Worked there, went to church there, got married there, Sacred Heart.
Okay.
And then, then we ended up being married in the same church. We're at the very end of that type of lifestyle in the city.
Right. I mean, that's why probably too there was such like a sense of community because
Yes.
you lived there your entire life.
You knew everybody.
Right.
My parents in the cemetery now, when they lived on Ware Street, their neighbor to the left was the Doobies. The neighbor to the left was LaPointe's. They're in the cemetery. Doobies are to the left.
That's how they plotted them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember walking through it with my parents, and he knew everybody in the cemetery, and
Right.
It's small. It's a small
but
cemetery.
Yeah.
still, there's a lot of people at it.
Sure.
You haven't seen in years. You forget a lot of relatives. Yeah, it's just today is different. I'm sad about that. I wish my kids could have had that experience.
So how far away did you grow up relative to George there in Lawrence?
Mile.
Couple miles?
No, mile.
Yeah, but we didn't know each other.
Really? Just a couple miles apart?
Yeah.
Same school or different school?
Public school.
I was in public school.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm directly in the middle. 3 up, 3 down.
Okay.
So I'm one of 7.
Wow.
Twin.
I'm a twin.
That's
I don't know if you guys knew that.
I did know that
Yeah.
because of your email address.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So, and my mother did not know she was having
Identical
twins.
or
Identical.
identical?
Did
Okay.
not know she was having twins until 2 weeks before. The doctor thought he heard the second heartbeat, and they did a stand-up x-ray.
Yeah.
Wow.
So even that by itself is kind of a funny thing because today everybody knows like by week 4, how many kids
Oh,
are having, what the kid is, like all this stuff. So twins could be a surprise.
I hate
Right.
That it's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
that. There's no surprises in life.
Right.
Well, very few good ones.
Speaking
No,
of
but they-
babies, though, you guys are expecting one, right?
Could get a call during this interview.
Yeah,
That's
very
That's how
close.
close.
Well, that would be inconvenient.
Yeah. the ring is off, Mike.
Okay. I appreciate that.
There's priorities of things that we hear. So this will be first
First, yeah.
grandbaby, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And does she know it? She's
girl.
A girl. That's awesome.
Again, they have to find out.
Right. Well, you gotta take her to the nursery.
It's just how
Yeah,
things are
but
different.
they're big planners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's super exciting. But that's
They wanna
fast forwarding. So were you and your twin sister close
Yeah.
growing up?
She actually knew she was in California when I had my first child, and she knew I had him before my father even called. She said, they asked, the biggest question I got most of my life is, what's it like to be a twin? Mm-hmm. My response was, what's it like not to be?
Right.
I don't know.
Do you feel like it's more than just having a sister? Is there like some kind of tighter bond that you have as a result or?
I think so. I mean, we talk, we will go, often without talk, for a little bit, but it's, yeah, I mean, it's a different feeling. It's
She
a
hasn't
different,
lived near you for a lot of her life. She hasn't lived in the vicinity. She was in California.
but
South Shore.
as small children, we were a unit.
Yep.
Our nickname was Twin. They called us Twin as children. And,
That's just because they couldn't distinguish you.
my father could not tell us apart until
Really?
we were
The day
older.
he died.
No,
Wow.
That's awesome.
no. My mother marked our feet when we first came home.
Okay.
Just to make sure.
Yeah.
So,
Like the Dick Van Dyke Show. I don't know if you remember that
Yeah,
episode.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they, but my siblings were all close in age, 18 months to 2 years apart.
Okay.
So we're very close family. I'd say, you have your ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to slug one of them every so often? Absolutely.
Right.
But you'd do anything for them if they had to.
Do you have any mystical twin powers? Can you tell when she's in danger or when she's sad?
I guess I never really thought about that. But like I said she knew I was in labor when I was in labor.
That's very cool.
When my dad called her to tell her I had delivered, and he was 4 days early. Okay. So she said, I knew why he was calling.
That counts. That
Yeah.
counts as a superpower. Sure.
Did you guys ever do any like swapping places or anything like that? Try to get out of a test or
No, no, I think we were too afraid of the risk
Yeah.
taking it. But
Yeah.
when we were little, they said we had our own little language until we went to school.
Cool twin power.
In kindergarten, we were together. In first grade, they separated us because they said we wouldn't listen to anybody else. We just were our own little unit. So they said, no, we can't have that.
So you had 7 children in your family.
Yeah.
Did you all fit in one car? How did that
We
work?
had a station wagon. And
Okay.
do you remember the station wagons where you
No
could
seatbelt
sit in the back?
You
Sit
could-
facing the back.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's
Yeah, we were talking about that. I feel like Jess and I are from like the last of when it was acceptable to ride in the back of a pickup truck or, have kids crawling all over each other. That probably, it's a good thing it probably went away when you
No
really
such thing as car seat back
think
then.
about it.
Oh,
But yeah. Okay.
I remember going around my grandfather's car, and he didn't even have like a second row. Like somehow it was like not bolted, like in the car, like the chairs, just a pile in there at the time. They didn't care about that.
Yeah, my mom would talk about how there are all the kids in the car. I think it was a station wagon too, but there would also be a dog like just crammed on somebody's lap, and I don't know, like all the luggage would be strapped to the top, right? That sort of deal.
Yeah. Going to the beach, it was a project.
We didn't do that.
We had to go to get the ice. We had to go to the hostess store, get the snacks. You know, like I said, every borough had its own stores and stuff.
Sure.
Except the hostess store was right down the street from my house.
Yeah,
literally like 2 houses over.
Hostess, like Hostess cupcakes.
Yeah, there was a
wow.
hostess. Yeah.
I didn't realize they were a local brand.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's a New England thing.
Yeah.
They almost went away, and then they somehow got saved. Wasn't that?
I think you're thinking of Drake's
Probably am.
Devil Dogs.
Yeah.
You can't get devil dogs outside of the New England area.
No kidding.
My
Like
mom.
Cane's mayonnaise.
It's a local delicacy.
Yeah.
What did you just call them?
It's like Cane's
Cane's
mayonnaise. You can't leave
yeah.
New England and you can't find it.
That's what
Really?
I realized when I went to college for the first time, because then people from outside New England were there. Like I have a lot of friends from the Midwest that didn't know what a frap was. Like
Yeah.
frap is like a New England thing.
Yeah.
It's just like they're
My
like,
mom
oh,
would
milkshake.
send my
I'm like,
sister devil dogs when she lived out in California.
Oh, really?
That's funny.
Oh,
So do we have any good parochial school stories here, George? I imagine there was maybe some sadistic nun. I don't know
I
for
would
you.
not trade. I think I have a higher IQ as a parochial school student stopping at high school as a senior
Yeah.
than most kids today have after 4 years of college.
Uh-oh.
The education was so much better, so much more intense
Okay.
than what it is today.
Is this where you're going to tell me that writing in cursive is better than typing?
Yes.
Yeah, I know that.
people don't know how to read
I'm gonna
cursive.
I'm gonna give you one
No,
reason why.
because they don't know-
If you
they're not
can't
taught
read
it.
and write cursive, how are you going to read the Constitution?
Oh, I don't know.
And don't think that is
right.
by design.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm also a parochial school kid. I stopped though in 7th grade because my family moved, and I went mid 7th grade to public school.
Yep.
I coasted for 2 years because we had already covered everything in parochial
that's what I'm
school.
getting
It
at.
wasn't until I went to high school
Yep.
I was like, okay, now I'm going to start learning new things.
Yep.
It is crazy. I think the difference.
Your education couldn't hold a candle to what the founding fathers got, though, either. You ever think about that? When you read about some of those guys and they spoke
Unbelievable.
multiple languages just for fun.
How
Yeah.
today's hierarchy thinks they're political hierarchy thinks they're smarter than our founding fathers is beyond me.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
That's good.
But when you don't teach it in school,
Right.
they get away with that type of rhetoric.
hear
Imagine
you.
what's going to happen when they reject history books. Really going to be in trouble.
What was a vacation like for your family coming up in Lawrence? Either one of you. Do you like have a distinct memory of, say, your favorite family vacation or maybe a disaster
we didn't
that
do
happened?
much vacation like that.
No.
My mom didn't work either, and my father. So we had a pool.
We had a
Both
pool.
lower
Yeah.
middle class, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
You know, that a lot of kids, but they were happy. To me, they were happier than people today that have everything.
Right.
So this is something that comes up a lot during these conversations. A lot of times when we talk to people from your generation, a vacation was going camping,
Yeah.
right?
Ooh.
Our big vacation was when they had friends that they had forever, and they had a large family. They had 5 kids, and they used to rent a cottage on Cape Cod down in Northeastham. And they talked our parents into going down and renting the cottage next to them. And that was the year of Jaws, 1975, right? Now they're taking us down to Cape Cod. Let's go swimming. Let's go to Coast Guard Beach.
Cape Cod wasn't even that big of a draw, the way I understand it. I read from somebody recently that, because their grandfather died and the house got willed to the grandkids or whatever, but grandpa bought the house in like 1975, like right in the middle of Chatham for like, I don't know, $15,000, whatever.
Peanuts today.
Peanuts, right? It's just
Not
amazing.
that long ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's happened.
But other things we hear pretty common is, we went to Disney World, but everyone always drove in your generation. Nobody ever flew, right? Just stuff like that. It was a more simple time for
My
sure.
parents didn't go to Disney World till we were all well into our own lives.
Yeah.
My mother
They went on
didn't
it.
fly on an airplane until she was in her 60s when she went with us.
Yep.
Well, no, she went to Disney for
They
the
just
first
didn't
time.
do it. They were, like I said, lower middle class and
Right.
God, country, church, family.
Okay.
Community. They knew each other.
But they were happy. you
Right.
know?
My mother spent her summers at the beach because her father had built a cottage down there. She is 12 years younger than her next sister. So she,
And that house
Her
is still there
lifestyle.
because when we go down,
Really.
we go to Seabrook predominantly.
Okay.
And even with the dogs, we bring them down there
Yep.
in the off season. And that cottage, we walk by it every time we're down there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's neat.
it's since left the family.
Yeah. But it's cool to see that still.
It's not a cottage, it's full. Now it's a full house.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you guys get your first paychecks?
Al Magoon's Sporting Goods, St. Lawrence.
Al Magoo's?
Magoons.
Magoons. Okay,
Great
that's
name.
a name. Right, it is a great name.
Right.
Okay. It was used sporting goods?
No new
Al
sporting.
New sporting goods.
Sporting Goods.
I just figured with a guy like Al, it would be used, but it was new.
He's
Okay.
like, he'll get you a deal.
Okay.
Smart people, too.
What did you do there?
Just a stock.
Stock boy.
Sales boy, yeah.
Okay. Any memories from days in your first job?
No, I don't remember my first day. I used to, drive down on my bike. They were only about a mile and a half from the house.
Okay.
Just good, honest, down-to-earth people. I remember maybe about a year ago, someone put on Facebook, there's a how they do groups. There was a group,
Yeah.
South Lawrence, and someone, does anyone remember Al Magoon's? So I piped in with a comment and says, yeah, that was my first job. And like I'm telling you now, I'm singing their praises, right?
Yeah.
Lo and behold, one of their family members read it. And I think I really touched them by what I had to
Oh,
say. Yeah.
that's great.
So Facebook, for all its problems, has some, some good.
Yeah. Some
Good
nostalgia. So
I like the detail of getting to work by bicycle because that's another thing I don't think that you see as often anymore. I mean, I remember very distinctly growing up, kids would be on bikes going everywhere. I can't remember the last time I saw a child on a bike going absolutely anywhere.
We were out the other day in the middle of the snowstorm. The two dogs. I'm 60. She's 58. Well, almost 59.
He said it on camera.
We can redact that.
Not us.
No, don't redact it. I have a problem with my age. I really don't. And we're looking around the neighborhood, and just about every house has kids, right? No one's outside.
Yeah.
We're outside with our two dogs.
It's weird.
Oh, it's
Our kids would
This was-
spend the whole day out there.
sad, is what it
First
is.
of all, yeah, as a kid, you're supposed to be spending your day outside, like building a snowman, sledding, and everything. But I always say that about my mother has a very small property. I'm like, where's the kid in the neighborhood that wants to earn like 20, 30 bucks by like mowing the lawn or
Yeah.
shoveling the driveway?
Yeah. That's what I used to do.
And inside watching video games.
Yeah.
Or
Remember,
doing-
my father got his first snowblower.
Before
Mid 70s, just before the blizzard.
Blizzard
Probably like
78.
1976.
Oh, wow.
And I was just at that age when, he let me use it. And I would go next door
Yep.
and give me $10. Go across the street, another $10. A lot of money. A lot of money back then.
Sure.
But these were widows. It's just different today. I don't know. It's sad. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that era. My dad used to, just to get extra money, would cut lawns on weekends, and I'd jump in the back of his pickup truck. For whatever reason, we had to go 2 towns over. Maybe he didn't want people in town knowing that he did that for extra work, or that's just where all the good money was. I have no idea, but I'd go and he'd give me a weed whacker. At first, I would have to just pull the weeds, and then eventually they trusted me with machinery, and so I'd have like the gas-powered, weed whacker, then the lawnmower, and that was always like a big deal. I always wanted to be able to use the same stuff that he was using, because otherwise I was still a kid, that sort of deal. But that's just a very distinct memory of mine of is just always working, like even at a very young age, right? It was just considered, I didn't even think of it as work or like even like as a punishment or as bad, because it's just like what happened. You'd be like, get in the car, we're going to go do this. Okay, it was your dad. Just do whatever he said.
I remember my father trimming the grass along the picket fence that was along between the two lots, the houses, the hand trimmers. I still have those.
Yeah.
It's like a time capsule in my garage. I don't know. It's just sentimental stuff I've saved.
Your garage is impressive. You got a lot of gizmos in there. Yeah.
But they're all numbered, so we know where they go.
And you know what it is, though, in part, and it's kind of a good thing. People, the middle class, like when you say I grew up middle class, it has a different meaning today. The middle class has like gone up a couple of levels. And kids are kind of spoiled. Our kids are spoiled. Like, you know, we don't have a snowblower. We get out there and shovel. If there's enough, we'll get like a plow guy or something. But when we say to our kids, hey, grab a shovel, we're going outside, they fake the injuries, my arm, like that kind of stuff, or they start to complain about it. And what we do is we're like, okay, just go out there for a little bit. We bargain with our own kids.
Try making it a game when you go out. Hey, we'll do half of it and we'll make a snow house or something like that. Just.
We try to bribe them hot chocolate pretzels. That's what they're into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We used to shovel it high on the ends of the driveway by the street, you know, and then
They would make
you'd play
forts.
forts and you know you dig into it and you know make an igloo. They don't do that anymore. I was telling her the other day, we're looking out the window. I said, "Look at the nice mounds I made all the way down the driveway." I said, "If I was a kid, I'd be out there playing, you know, World War II."
Right. Laying down behind the barracks.
Yeah.
Well, Karen, I didn't want to leave you out. What was your first job?
I worked at Showcase Cinemas,
Oh, right. Okay.
and the pay was lousy,
Yeah.
but the perk was
Free movies?
free movies,
Okay.
free popcorn if you brought your own. Well, no, they would stash a thing of brown paper bags,
Okay.
because you couldn't use that. That's what supposedly cost the money is the paper
Containers,
products. And if you brought your own cup, you could have all the soda you wanted.
Now, did you let your friends in through the fire exits too?
You could, no, you didn't need to do that. They could come in and, as long as it wasn't a sold out movie.
Yeah.
Though he's known to fall asleep.
Yeah, we had a showcase in Denham, and that's if you knew someone there, they'd be like, come on in. Like as soon as
As long as it wasn't sold out, they didn't really care.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of half movies because during your break, you'd go sit in the back of the movie. Then you'd see the middle of the movie, like, what am I going to go see the rest for?
Right.
So, yeah.
Good
I worked there a few years.
Okay.
It was fun. It was different.
Very cool.
You know,
Age yourself. What was one of the movies while you were there?
I taught
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, what were some of the top showcase movies?
Star Wars.
Star Wars. is a
Star
big
Wars
one.
had come out when I was there.
Oh,
Yeah.
What's going on?
What was the one you let me in on? I fell asleep.
You fell asleep in a lot of movies.
Maybe it wasn't that
Platoon,
good.
you went with me.
Platoon. That was the
Platoon.
Platoon. I fell asleep.
It's like, how do you fall asleep in this movie?
So I think this is a good time to get into the big obvious question. How did you two meet? So you live only a couple miles
Want me to
apart.
tell the true story, or do you want to tell your version?
You can tell whatever your version you want.
Like it. Spin zone.
Wait. Can I hear Karen's version first? I want to hear the fantasy
You can
version
hear
first.
whatever you like first. Go ahead.
So I actually went to Greater Lawrence, the vocational school. So when you're a senior graphic design,
Is this for high school or after
high school.
For high school, okay.
so you went to school one week and then you did your shop the other week. Your senior year, you went and got a job on your shop week. So the instructor needed a couple people to work at the print shop that George worked at.
Okay.
But I had something lined up. She's like, no, don't do this until the other job takes place. And he was working there. And he tells everybody that I asked him out.
This is at Al Magoon's print shop.
No.
I will look everything in that town.
You left a little bit out.
Okay.
All right. Well, wait. Here, go ahead. Fill in the missing.
So this was my fill-in job between high school and before I got into the electrical trade. And in the fall of '83,
What high school did you go to?
I went to Central Catholic in Lawrence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 12 years parochial.
Okay. Never beaten by a nun once. I just wanted to be sure on the record. Never hit by a nun once.
I don't remember being hit.
They hit you in the head. Okay.
One year I had my first cousin was matter of fact, I still speak with her. She's well into her 80s.
So I'm interested in this detail though. Was there a year that you took off before, or you graduated high school?
I was doing my electrical theory at night at Northern Essex,
Okay.
and I just couldn't.
Well, he
find
was in high school.
it. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
And I was looking for a place to start as an apprentice,
Yep.
which I got later on through my cousin. But anyway, so I was working at Town Printing because my mother had worked there. My brother had worked there until he joined the Army. It's on Essex Street in Andover.
What kind of printing work would they do?
Commercial.
Okay.
Yep. It was a going concern. Good business. But anyway, so I was working there in the bindery, and they marched in the, what did they call it? Co-op. The co-op students from the vocational school one day. And it was a warm day, and she marches in with a nice pair of green and white striped shorts and her
Can you
long
believe
legs.
you remember that?
Yeah.
It was yesterday. Yeah.
Imprinted
Yeah.
right there.
So I charmingly went up to her and started talking.
Drooling.
Well, and
Not true.
and she asked me. We just talked about where she went to school and all that.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "Well, I work at the Showcase Cinemas. Why don't you come and see me? I'm working tonight or Friday night, whatever it was."
This is the first time you guys met. You're already making plans for your first date.
It might have been the second
Yeah.
time.
You guys just got
Just
right
gotta
after it.
Yeah. But you worked at the cinemas. So, yeah. I'm working tonight. Swing by. Come by and say hi.
Low commitment.
Yep.
Like, just come on in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hanging out. Okay, cool. Did you go?
Yeah.
You did.
Of course.
And then the rest is history.
Yeah.
Wow. How long did you guys work together at the print shop?
2 weeks.
You didn't stay that long.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks. What drove you out?
I mean,
No, the other job opened up that I had already was in the works. So
So how old were you when you met?
I was 17.
Okay.
I was 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys know each other a long time.
So you've known each other longer than you haven't known each other.
Yes.
Now, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's 40 years.
Right.
42.
42 years.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Your age.
So how did you guys know when it was going to be like the thing, like the relationship that would go the distance? Or
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
So she was going to college.
Yeah.
So she graduated in 1984.
where'd you go?
Well, originally I went to Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
That didn't last long because that was
It was long enough because I used to go down every
Yes.
other week.
Okay, so you were dating during
Yeah.
this
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Yeah. You didn't like break up before
No.
college. Yeah. Okay.
Thursday night, I would go to her parents' house. They'd load up my trunk with, because the two of them went, her
Yeah.
and her sister.
Oh, okay.
a cooler full of food because
Yeah. It was so
it was
expensive.
in Brooklyn. Yeah, and it was in Brooklyn and
You couldn't get a gallon of milk that was not bad in a day or two.
Well, a little subtle thing about long distance relationships, right? Of course, in your day, is that you had telephone calls.
All right, as long as you want to go there.
And that was it, right?
No cell phones, obviously.
Yeah.
Long distance. Now I'm at my parents' house. You're not calling. I'm not putting that
Yeah.
on my phone.
Right.
You know?
Right. Because it's one phone
I
to share.
I had to open up a Sprint account.
Well, also long distance charges.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're calling.
Right.
Yeah.
we wrote letters. He wrote
Oh, yeah.
to me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you have any of those letters?
I believe I did.
We should have gotten a copy of one of those. We might have to ask for one after the show.
Maybe we should all do our best impression of what George would have put in a letter.
I don't know if that's going to be family friendly.
Getting back to the phone thing. So off to the Methuen Mall.
Yeah.
Had to buy a phone. And they were not cordless. I had to put a jack in my parents' second floor so I could plug in when I wanted to talk to her with a 25-foot cord to bring into the bedroom. Then I had a 12-digit access code for Sprint.
Yeah, sure.
And then type in her number from
Right.
Brooklyn
Yeah,
and hope that her sister wasn't on the other line and get a busy signal.
Yep. Exactly.
Was
we
a
didn't really
royal
use the phone that much though
pain in the
when
neck
we were there.
trying to call her. Yeah.
Yeah. I
That
remember.
only lasted for how long when you were at Pratt?
A semester.
A semester.
semester.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I remember I would like scream at people in my family, get off the phone. My friend's going to call because you had one phone line, right? Or I used to do, I was a sneak. I would try to pick up the phone really quiet so they wouldn't hear the click to eavesdrop
Oh, yeah.
on like people in the house and like whatever they were doing.
I can
yeah.
remember being in high
Different
school
times.
and waiting for somebody before call waiting to get off the phone to get a ride home after school.
Yeah.
Because doing something after school, I played basketball for a couple of years and stuff. So be like, oh my God, is somebody ever going to get off the phone?
It's tough. It
And I
really,
only-
yeah.
And I only lived, a mile or so down the road, but there was no sidewalks or anything. So it wasn't like, it was an easy walk.
So why didn't it work out for you in New York?
It's just
It was very fine arts.
Okay.
Where I was looking more for graphics.
Yep. So you left Pratt, and then what happened?
I went to Franklin Pierce
Okay.
in Ringe.
Okay.
And then I think
so. This story you can edit out later, but I'm going to tell it anyway because you'll think it's
We're
funny.
never going to edit this, but go on.
Do whatever you like.
Yes.
So we had it.
Did you ever hear the movie Debbie Does Dallas? That's a lie. You know you can edit it.
oh yeah,
We'll say I'm
this
aware
is
of
a
it.
fact. This
Yes.
is a fact.
Yeah.
So they
yes.
did a scene
Right.
in a library
Yeah.
where each level of the library had glass floors.
It's
Okay.
at
So we go on a tour when we're there.
Okay.
We get in the library. This looks-
Looks familiar.
Somewhere before.
Yeah.
It was filmed at Pratt Institute.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not
They
something
really
go,
were into the fine arts.
Well, no, they were lied to.
yeah.
They
Okay.
were lied to.
I bet.
Someone went in and we want to do a documentary type of thing. Oh yeah, you
Yeah.
can have it.
Yeah,
at night when
imagine
we're-
like, you
Yeah.
know, letting someone at Harvard University and find out
Yeah.
it's in a porno.
So Mike, you can look that up along with the orcas and the.
Yeah, just for educational purposes. Sure.
It's a pretty. It was a great experience being there. You learned a lot about the city.
Sure.
It actually is easier to go out of the city and come back because you had to change trains less. So we would travel out, change the trains once, and then come back in.
And this was pre.
Oh, yeah, this
This
was-
was the welcome back Carter
Oh, well.
with the
Good.
graffiti on the
This-
everywhere.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this: during orientation, they get you everyone in a room and go over different things and tell you different. Don't travel at night alone. Don't wear a lot of jewelry.
If you get raped, just let it happen.
Yes.
Imagine that.
Or
Imagine being told that as a
or
woman.
make yourself sick
Hell
to your
of a
stomach.
rejection. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
Yeah. That's pretty much the speech spiel they gave you.
I
That's
she
insane.
couldn't get out of there fast enough for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandfather was a Boston cop, and he would tell those girls like, "You don't go into Boston at night." Like it was a lot more dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you made it through.
They did.
I presume.
Well,
I
through
did.
for a semester and then to Franklin Pierce, right?
Yeah.
So how is that in terms of commuting to Franklin Pierce to visit?
Oh, it was a lot better. I
Easier?
mean, you're going down a country road, Route 119, Littleton, Pepperell,
Yeah.
Acton. You know,
He would often come.
then I was going every
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
So how long was this whole routine of the long distance relationship?
Well, the whole
4
time she was
years,
in
right?
college,
7
4
years. No,
Seven.
7 years we were together before we got married.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he meant long distance.
Yeah.
Wait, so
Yeah,
after Franklin Pierce, did you move back to Lawrence?
Yes.
Okay. So then you guys were together in the same town.
Yeah.
Wait, so you did long distance for 4 years?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
How did you make it work?
That's a good question. We just did. You just do it. You don't even think about it.
100%.
Yeah.
Am I going to get anything better than my wife here? I'd be
Right.
stupid to walk away from that.
Why did it take you so long to propose, George?
Great question.
She was in college.
Okay.
Yeah, but then she was out for 3 years afterwards, right?
We were
Well,
engaged
no, we got
for a
married in
couple of
1990,
years.
so it was
got
only 2 years.
Yeah.
And we paid for our own wedding.
Yeah.
Right.
Father gave us a small stipend. You know, didn't have any money.
Your aunt did say to you, you better put a ring on her finger.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
getting to that.
Go
You know,
away.
my aunt,
Getting there.
you know, my aunt, my uncle, my father's brother, who I had a really close relationship with till he passed away. But she said to me one day, "You better get a ring on that finger, or you're going to lose that girl." So, all right, what do I do? She took me to Tewksbury to her jeweler and bought an engagement.
So while Karen was in school, did you start in the trades at that?
Yes,
You did?
yes.
Okay. So
I
you
started
got
with
your
a small electrical contractor in North Andover
Yep.
who just passed away just a few months ago. I went to his wake.
Wow.
He got me my start.
That's cool.
And then I got my license. And coincidentally, one of her friends was working at Massachusetts Electric, the local utility. And she says, "Oh, why don't you put an application in?" I said, "I just got my license." I said, "Well, just put it in, you know." So I did, and they called me. And I went and I took the tests, and I passed. And I had a decision to make. Do I stay in the trades, or do I go to the utility? Talked to my father, and my father, it's a no-brainer. He says,
Now, for anyone who's uninitiated with all this, what's the primary difference between those two worlds?
well, electrician is not the same as a lineman. It's two totally different trades, and you don't have to be one to be the other. But the background, the electrical theory part of it, certainly helped me in the utility. So I would do side work.
Okay. Now, you guys got married, and where did you settle? Was it in Lawrence, or did you go?
You know, we were in Lawrence again,
2 years. Yeah.
up the street from Sacred Heart Church, where we got married. We were just following tradition, you know.
Yep.
Okay.
2 years we lived in an apartment to save
Yeah.
money for a house.
Okay. Very good.
So
And then the house.
Salem, New Hampshire.
House, dog, kids,
Okay.
in that order.
How long have you been in your house in Salem?
1992.
Wow.
So
That's great.
33 years.
So we're going to have to start getting into the dogs at some point. This is maybe a good segue point. What was the first dog that you got?
A Shepherd Lab.
A shepherd, of course.
From
The MSPCA.
a MSPCA.
I'm not doing now.
Okay.
It just so happened that it was a shepherd mix. You
Yeah.
didn't know that was like your breed
No.
at that point.
Nope. She lasted 13 years.
Oh.
Made a lot of mistakes with her. which I wish I could apologize to her for.
What was her name?
Samantha.
Samantha. That's
Called
great.
her Sammy.
Oh, okay. That's cute.
I think that the niece and nephew helped name her, so that was probably why.
I appreciate human names on dogs. I think it's hysterical. I want a dog named Tony one day. I don't know what it's going to be.
That's
Good name.
What-
So you had your first child what year?
1993.
1993. Okay. What are some of the things that you experience raising kids that you think would be alien or say shocking to today's parents?
Get rid of the electronics. Talk to your kids. Do things with your kids. Bring them outside.
I tell people that your kids are captive in your car.
Yeah.
Ask questions.
That's true.
And I used to ask them the same question twice just to see if they were telling me the truth.
Right.
And
Stay
they'd say,
consistent.
well, you already asked me that. I said, I forgot. Tell me again what. But we were very open and honest about everything.
The biggest compliment we get is when people come up to us and say, you got 2 great kids. What did you do? And we get that all the time. To this day. I mean, even your employer, Liz, your attorney.
Yep.
I give you serve as an example. You know.
But we involved them. They did stuff. They did stuff around the house. They learned at a young age that, we have 2 acres of property. We have a pool. We needed help doing the stuff around the house.
Responsibility.
Right.
My observation of your boys is that they're very inquisitive. And that's kind of an unusual trait for like younger people in general. They usually just like sit there, blank looks on their face. They're distracted looking at a phone. Yep. Whatever they're doing, they're very engaged and they just have question after question after question, which is just an amazing thing. You can tell they have like this intense passion for learning or just being dialed into whatever they're doing. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like any of what you had to do, like raising them or any influence that you imparted kind of gave them those characteristics or traits?
Nothing was given to them. Not everything, but most things had to be earned.
Mm-hmm. When they were in high school, they had some trouble getting jobs.
We weren't making a lot of money.
No, they had trouble getting summer jobs. And so I said to them one year, you know what, we'll pay for the insurance and the gas in the car because we had given them a vehicle because they were athletes. They needed a way to get home. Mm-hmm. And so I said, but we need your help. We need you to do the stuff around the house. That includes going shopping and taking care of the yard and any of that stuff. They said, well, how do we do that? And I said, I'll bring you shopping. So I showed them how I shopped, and I would give them a list. And well, what about meat? I said, what do you want to eat this week?
That's amazing, especially for 2 boys to understand that.
And then when they got their license, they were able to go shopping on their own. She gave them a coupon box, believe it or not.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, one of the biggest thrills that they had was going to BJ's and saving $50 in coupons.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's a great feeling.
When you look backwards at, especially say when they were really young and anywhere between toddler age and before they're going off to high school, do you have any favorite memories of raising the boys? Any time spent with them?
We spent a lot of time.
Yeah, to narrow it down would be tough, but
yeah, because I tell people all the time, the laundry will be there, the dust you can get rid of. Be there when your kids are involved in stuff. I remember my son Joseph saying to me one time, "How come so-and-so's mother never comes to the hockey games?" Now he's on the ice with a helmet and a full cage. How does he know whether the mother's there or not, right? But he recognized that she wasn't. I said, well, they have a daughter. So usually mom and dad split up. Mom usually goes with the daughter, dad goes with the son. But they recognize that.
Right.
Yeah.
Kids know
They're always looking
you give them credit for,
right.
They're always looking in the stands.
You asked a question earlier. What do you think we did? Mm-hmm. We told them early on in junior high, early high school, if you're on the honor roll, if you're playing sports, we won't ask you to go to work. Mm-hmm. If you want to, that's fine.
Okay. It's a good deal.
Right.
And they took us at our word. They honor roll, president's list, dean's list, you name it, right through college. And they were told by their college, what do they call it? The
advisor.
The advisors. Mm-hmm. You can't take these advanced classes and play a sport in college. and they end up tutoring their
That's so
teammates.
cool.
Yeah.
What sports do they play or sport?
Baseball right through college, hockey into high school now.
They never stepped out of line once. You can't think of a memory where they really challenged you as parents.
Oh, they argued, they challenged.
To my knowledge, they never did any drugs.
Okay.
Well, but we told them we had no tolerance for that.
Yeah,
Right.
that was it. No drinking, no drugs.
Okay.
Yep.
I said, you can have a beer with me every now and then. I get
Right.
that, but and honor roll and play sport. I left out the drug part earlier, I think, when I said that.
Okay.
No drugs. I have no tolerance for it.
Okay.
To my knowledge, they've never done it.
I mean, I think it's a very reasonable list of like.
What about to
these are
Karen's knowledge?
expectations.
Okay, just checking.
Sometimes
I mean,
dads are a little more checked
everybody
out.
goes to college and
Yeah.
has their fair share of enjoying college and drinking. But,
Sure.
if, like I said, we were honest. I told them, you have too much risk. There's too much at risk here. We can't afford to send you to school. And if you lose your scholarship money, it's over.
Right.
That's it. So
You've mentioned several times now, though, that you feel like for a good stretch, you weren't bringing home lots of money, which, first of all, is really impressive given what you've accomplished, right? You're at the doorstep of retirement. That's super cool, right? So you figured some things out. But how did you make it all work? Like, what was the secret to keeping the family safe and secure and, not having people feel like they're struggling?
You can have fun and not go to Europe for vacations and Disney World every year.
we took them to the beach. They loved the beach. We
got
have a
friends at the
pool.
beach and-
Right.
But we had a lot of. He loved to entertain the baseball teams.
Oh,
We
yeah,
had a
yeah.
lot of parties
Yeah,
during the summer.
every year, with, the
4th of
little
July.
league team or the hockey team. We always had parties at my house because we had the room, the yard, the pool.
Yeah.
A 30 by 50 area, hot topped. People could
Yeah,
play basketball or street
we
hockey.
put that in. That's all done through friends and stuff, so it didn't cost us a lot of money.
Right.
We made do. You just make do. That's
Well, I mean, why would you want to go anywhere if that's like it's about who you surround yourself
Yeah.
with. You're having this fun, friends, family.
they
like,
love their uncles and aunts,
Yep.
their cousins.
Yeah,
After her father passed, her mother took us on cruises with the insurance money. The whole family, there was like 20 something of us
Wow.
for
Three times.
3 different cruises.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so you get to know
Lots of
the
people.
people you don't see a lot
Yeah. That's neat.
when you're together for 10 or 12 days.
That's a really cool legacy to be able to leave that
Yeah,
behind.
yeah, fuck that picture over there.
Right here?
Fort
Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah.
it's cruises are kind of neat as for a large group of people because you have that time on the ship that you spend together, and that was the deal. She took us on the cruise. We went to dinner every night with her and made sure that every island
Have you been on
she had
cruise?
something to go
No.
on.
So she made the stipulation, my mother-in-law, we will eat dinner so you can go on all the excursions you want,
Right.
be back for dinner. And they were all formal,
Yep.
At that time.
dressed up, tie, nice. you
Yeah.
know. We got pictures of that. It's so funny, right as they were growing up. And
And the kids
Like
thought that
suits.
was fun. They got all dressed up.
Yeah.
They looked real cool.
there's so much to do. on the
fancy.
cruise. We haven't been in years. It's something we'd like
Yeah.
to do eventually again.
Where did you guys cruise to? Florida? Or
No, we left out of Florida. We went to actually been to the Panama Canal.
Panama,
That one was-
St.
that
Martin's,
was-
Roatan. I could sit here and take me a while and
like
name all the
Caribbean.
islands.
Like
yeah.
Yeah.
that's really cool.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
I had more fun cruising between the islands because we would have shuffleboard family tournaments and
That's fun.
sit by the pool and just drink, and
Yeah.
kids would be swimming and joking around. And,
They had
Like a moving
shows
hotel,
at night.
right?
Yeah, really.
yeah, you don't have to
Like
worry about
Las
it.
Vegas on a ship because they have shows at night, and then most of the ships have daycare or activities for the kids during the day if
Shows
they don't want
every
to.
night. There's a
Yeah.
show,
That's cool.
and they were good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it.
Have you been on a cruise? You said it?
No.
You should try it.
I'm
sometime.
afraid someone's gonna fall off the boat.
Nah.
No, that never happened.
Or I'm afraid of getting boat sick. Right? But now I know
yeah,
candy ginger.
One Dramamine in the morning.
yeah, that we
Okay.
did.
Or
That
yeah, a Jeremy in the morning.
Yep.
Now I'm ready to go.
And it is true after you've been on the ship for a week or so, because we did one a couple days more, maybe
Yeah.
8 days. When you come home, you kind of feel like you're going like this every so often.
You're not moving constantly
Yeah.
anymore. That's fun. I've always wanted to do an Alaskan cruise. We talked
Me
about
too.
it every day.
That's one that I'd like.
It'd be great.
As you get older, Those are the ones you want to do.
You guys really seem to lean into, as part of like your family value set, the importance of quality time.
Yep.
And I like what you said. It was like your mother-in-law's rule about having the meal together. It's so easy to fall out of that habit, especially today. Everybody's so busy. They're running back and forth. Sometimes your kids have a different schedule than you. And it's so easy for one person to just grab something from the fridge. Somebody else comes home late. We try as hard as we can to make sure the family gets together at least for dinner.
We did that too.
Yeah.
Or no.
This year at Thanksgiving, we put a basket at the door, coming in the back door. Put your cell phones in there and you're not touching them.
Oh, you do the cell phone rule.
It's nice.
We've heard a lot of people doing that. Like they have a basket right at the front door when company comes over.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool rule.
There's nothing more frustrating than you're trying to talk and then what's more important? You talking to me or you?
Right.
Drives me crazy.
So I want to get back to the whole dog thing because we'll get to the current two nitwits that you have.
Yeah.
But there was Samantha, number one. Were there others along the way?
Yep. So before she had passed, a friend of ours through baseball.
Yeah.
Actually, her and I coached together. She was a Division I softball player at URI, and she was the manager. I was a coach, and she had her dog bred. She had a chocolate lab.
Okay.
And she had it bred with a yellow. And when they had the puppies, that's the funniest thing because Dan, my youngest, was the math major. So we were driving one day, and I said, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Just trying to figure out, Dad. I think Mrs. Pierce's dog. She said it was so many weeks, and he did it in his head. She should have had the dog this week, the puppies."
Okay.
So I called her up. She says, "Oh yeah, we have the puppies." She says, "Why don't you come on over?" I says, "All right. She said, maybe you'll take one." I said, "No, we still have our dog." She was 13 at the time.
Yep.
And she says, "Well, just come over and look." So we went over.
Yeah, you know what?
Literal
Yeah,
Labrador puppies. Right?
I know about this.
She's still at work.
Okay.
So we go over. We're playing with them. She says, "Well, which one do you want?" He says, "I can't afford it." She says, "I'm not going to charge you." She says, "Just the vet bills. We're splitting it 7 ways.
Okay.
It'll be $100.
Yeah.
Sam's 13.
Right.
Puppy. Karen, maybe you should come over here after work.
No.
No, you got to come over. So we ended up with a yellow lab
Okay.
Okay. Boy or girl?
girl,
What's her name?
Samantha.
No.
Yeah. No, I did.
What, are you joking?
No, I'm
No.
not joking.
So you had 2 dogs of this.
No.
So you just
Well-
said that's Samantha 1, and I go, wait, is there going to be a Samantha 2?
Well-
wait,
Yeah.
was it really?
They never coincided.
Okay.
The first one passed before the
Yeah,
second.
we had to put it down before because they had
But
to
you're
go.
like,
You got to
I
go
already
8
have
weeks.
the first one.
Wait. Hold on. You said when you went to go look at the puppies that Samantha was 13.
Yes.
Yes.
So were you like, get rid of this other
Well,
dog?
we had to wait 8 weeks to get the puppy.
Oh, for her, yeah, to leave the mom.
Yeah, you
Right.
can't. Yeah. So
Awfully convenient.
so
No,
in that-
she actually.
What happened in that
I never thought
13-week
that
period?
way, but
I am paying 2 vet bills.
I do pay attention, George.
I can remember the day
I'm sorry about Samantha 1, though. Seriously.
Sam won. I used
Yeah.
to take my grass out into the woods with my tractor and my trailer.
Yeah.
She would jump in the trailer
Oh,
after I emptied it.
yeah.
And I remember coming out of the woods and she lost her rear end and she couldn't stand up anymore.
Oh, yeah. And you knew it was time.
Yeah. I'll never forget it. It's so heart wrenching.
It
So the next day I went to work and I come home and we had to leave her in the garage because she lost control of everything. And, she couldn't stand up and, and I opened the garage door as I'm pulling in the driveway and she crawls out to me on her 2 feet, on her 2 front legs. I'll never forget that. It still breaks me out. The dogs love you unconditionally.
They do,
Yeah.
right to the very end.
Yeah.
Right?
So
So we put her down that.
Who-
we took our
How-
pictures with her and
Yeah, so what was in
I think
the
we have the same
thought
question.
process of naming the new dog?
I like the name.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's a great name.
Yeah, but the kids and I were like, no. But it just happened.
okay.
So,
You already had the water bowl with Samantha on it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Money was tight.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Got it.
Okay.
I just like the name. So
Did they have different nicknames or no? They were both Sam.
Yeah.
Sam, Samantha.
Yeah.
Samantha.
Okay.
Sammy. We
Yeah.
called the second one Sammy all the time.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
So,
All right. And then Sammy was with us for how long?
12 and a half years.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great longevity.
So we
Found another puppy. Sam too had to go.
No.
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 She had what we thought was a stroke, and she kind of lost her bearings.
Really?
So we had to put her down.
What does it look like when you think a dog has had a stroke?
She was disoriented.
yeah.
She would often walk into the corner of the room and just stand there.
It's sad to watch.
It is.
At 12 and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's time.
She
So
struggled.
2 dogs, 25 years. We did pretty good.
Oh yeah, that's great.
So
Okay.
now,
You're dogless.
yeah,
Okay.
For a
that
couple
was in
months.
October of 2018, 2017,
A little
2017.
later than that.
Okay.
So we're going to take a break from dogs.
Yep.
We're gonna.
So we go through Christmas, New Year's. We go up to Shooter's Outpost in Hooksett.
Okay.
Saturday morning. We just looking around.
Yeah.
This guy walks in. It's this beautiful shoreline German Shepherd, female. So I look at her. I said, I got to get my dog fixed. She says, well, go over and ask. Maybe I'll let you pet him. So I go over, introduce myself, and told him, we lost our dog. And I pet the dog. Oh, yeah. Dog's name was Kaya. Comes over, and you just fall in love with her. You're a shepherd now.
Yeah.
And he gave me all the information from the breeder. For the breeder was Sealand of Old German Shepherds up in Penobscot, Maine.
Okay.
Called him up, took all my information. We want another female. Always had females.
Yep.
So he says, I'll see what I can do. But they had a waiting list. He calls me up.
How long had it been since Sam 2 had
3 months.
that? Okay.
About 3 months.
Okay.
2-3 months. And so we went up. They gave us a tour of the place. Beautiful, beautiful. A whole flock of German Shepherd. It's just like
Yeah.
German Shepherd heaven, And
Did they have puppies there at the time, or these are just?
they
like,
did, but
dogs?
they were all taken.
Yeah, yeah.
So he says, if we get one, someone backs out. So he calls us like the first week of May. We were going to keep this one for breeding, but we decided not to. If you want him, you can have her. I said, all right, yeah, fine. So we pick her up Memorial Day weekend. It was 2018. Bring her home. We go to the vet. The vet says she has an abnormal heartbeat,
A heart murmur.
heart murmur. So they want to do an ultrasound. They did an ultrasound, and long story short, she had just started her job at Raytheon. So we had to bring her to another vet. Well, I had to bring her because she was working second shift. I go to pick her up, and you could tell when the doctor walked through, she says, I'm sorry, but she has an incurable heart disease.
Oh, God.
She's only going to live between, what did she say, 1 to 2 years?
Right.
Yeah, 1 to 2 years. And you could see it. You could see her heart. It kind of
Yeah.
fluttered. It didn't.
How
Right.
long had you had the dog for at this point?
She was 7 months old.
Oh wow.
No, but we knew that before. Well, she was born in
Initially,
January.
They told
No,
us
she was born in May. She was 8
they
weeks. Yeah.
when they first found it, they said, well, sometimes they outgrow it
Sure.
when they're little.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we actually
So we
ended up
waited.
bringing her to
Tufts.
Tufts.
Okay.
That was the coolest
But
place.
before we went to Tufts, we went to the ultrasound.
Yeah.
And she came out, and I'm by myself.
Right.
And the dog comes over, and she's happy
Yeah.
to see me because she was gone for the day. I had to go to work, so we picked her
Yeah.
up in the afternoon. She's not with me.
Yeah.
And she has to tell me the news. Your dog's.
Right.
How do I tell my wife this?
Right.
This was her
Over the
dog.
phone.
Because she's the one that said, when we met Kaya, if we get another dog, that's what I want. I want a German Shepherd.
Yeah.
So now
'Cause
now I got to come home and make that phone call. And
It's tough.
so we kept her.
Yeah.
They gave me the option. We can give you your money back, or we can get you another puppy, no charge. Says, we'll take another puppy.
Yeah.
I says, what do you want to do with, we named her Sierra.
Yeah.
He says, no, keep her.
Yeah.
And we'll work the next one in. So Reagan came along January of the following year, 29. She was born November 30th of 2018.
Okay.
So we picked her up the end of January 2019. So now they coincided.
Mm-hmm.
And Sierra, we find out, she's a runner. I had to have a line on her all the time. So through luck, during a storm, I'm in Boxford, Mass, putting a service up on a house, and this guy has a beautiful shepherd like we have now, the Sable. And I says, can I see the dog when I'm done? Can you bring him outside? Oh, yeah. Brings him out. Unbeknownst to me, John had trained that dog. So he gave me all the information.
Mhm.
So I called John up. I talked to his wife, Ruth. We go over for an evaluation. So he trains the 2 dogs with recall and everything.
So you went to John originally to get your dogs trained?
Yes.
The 2 of them.
The 2 show lines.
Right.
Okay.
Sierra. Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you ever give our guy a plug? We're talking about John Whitaker at Naked Dog.
Naked dog training, yes.
Yes.
Doing, yes.
Okay.
Genius when it comes to dog training,
Amazing.
in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to July 3rd. We have people come over on the 4th for a party, pool party. We go to bed. Sierra went into heat that week, and it was a hot week. She's got the heart problem. Well, she'd already gone through one heat.
Yeah.
Didn't have any problems. She goes through the second heat. She's not doing well.
She wouldn't eat.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we went to bed. We had a diaper on her because she was in heat.
Yeah.
Well, we took the diaper off. Karen had put sheets around our bed on the floor.
Yeah.
We barricaded her in on my
She wasn't big on the diaper.
side. Yeah. So we went to bed.
Yeah.
And about 2 a.m, I feel a nose on my shoulder, right? So I reach over and I pet her.
Yeah.
Good girl. You know,
Right.
I don't think nothing of it. I wake up about 2 hours later. It was like 4 a.m. And I look over with a flashlight, like, she's not there. She pushed the barricade out of the way, went around the foot of the bed, goes over to see her. She lays down. Now she wants to get up. She has to go to the bathroom. So she gets up. She says, George, you better get up. I think she's gone.
Oh.
She said her goodbyes to me, went and laid down next to her.
Guys, I'm gonna start bawling my eyes out.
You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. Now, Reagan is 3 feet away in her crate,
Yeah.
and she's watching all of this, you know, and she had passed away in her bedroom.
Wow.
So 4 o'clock on a holiday.
Yeah. No, you
So I pick her up. I bring her down into the kitchen. And I said, oh, we forgot Reagan. Reagan's still in her crate. So we go upstairs.
Yeah.
We can't call anybody. It's
Sure.
now it's like 5 a.m. Bring Reagan downstairs. You think you were going to bawl a minute ago.
Oh boy.
Now, Reagan lived to torment her sister, Sierra. She comes down the stairs, gingerly walks over, sniffs around her head, goes in the living room, comes back with a toy that they shared, and lays it down next to her. I mean, you can't make
This
this
is a
stuff.
movie. This is like
It's like a movie, yeah. So we went from having 2 dogs over the
Yeah.
course of 25 years to having one for 15 months.
It's not fair.
So we have Reagan.
Yep.
So I called John up. Actually, I texted him. I said, John, you got to call me.
Yeah.
Something's happened.
Yeah.
So he calls me up. I tell him the story. He says, all right. Were they coming over that day? They might have been coming over. I don't remember. But anyway, 20 minutes goes by. I get a text message. I still have it. I saved it. He says, just like you guys. He says, you guys aren't clients. You guys are family to us. And if you want another dog, if you want to stay a 2-dog family, I will get you one of my dogs at my cost, and I'll train him for nothing.
So
Now, how do you? I
You're
can
a
never
good
get mad.
dude.
I know.
I can never get mad at that guy after.
Right.
We're talking tens of thousands of dollars.
Right. Right.
You know, so we get.
This is where Jaeger comes.
You guys
from.
make an impression on people.
Yeah, I don't know
I don't know
why.
why.
So Jaeger was sent to Toronto from Slovakia to a family that already had 2 shepherds. They decided they didn't want him. So
He would have been third.
would have been their
Okay.
third
It's a
shepherd.
lot of shepherds. Yeah.
So, you know, John always keeps track of all of this
Yeah.
stuff. And he says, I have one. I think he'd be a perfect fit for you guys. So we paid the $600, had him shipped down to us.
Yeah.
John kept him for a couple of months
Yep.
to finish his training. Like 2 weeks after we got him, they wanted him back. I says, no,
Yeah.
Right.
we had already fallen in love with him.
Right. Sure.
So I get it now because I've always like looked at you guys as like disciples of like what John Whitaker does, and I can tell now why you're like ride or die with that man.
Yeah.
He did you a big solid.
Yeah. Oh, he's
Yeah.
a pain in the ass. Don't get me wrong. And I tell him all the time.
The best dog trainer in the world.
No, he's the greatest dog trainer in the world. His communication skills are.
He does have
He's big dog.
a woman that's his assistant now.
Yeah, she has a
She
memory.
has a. She is phenomenal.
That's
He just like throws things at her, and she remembers it all.
Yeah, and that's what he did. He just.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But as far as training, he's been doing it for 40 years. He learned from the best in Europe, and
Right.
he knows, especially the shepherd mind.
And so when Jaeger went, is that where he got his protection training?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then he did full protection training there. So he's a
Yeah.
protection doggy.
So I'll give you, for instance, Jaeger tore his ACL last January. so a year ago, had a surgery in July 3rd.
Yep.
Went 6 months where he couldn't do anything. We had to wean him back into just everyday life. So before I had my shoulder surgery a few weeks ago, I said, John, I want to do some protection with him. He loves to do it. They love doing protection. It's like a game to them.
Sure.
And he didn't miss a command. A year. He went a year.
Right.
You know, try thinking of something you love to do, but you haven't done it for a year. You think you'd be as good at it as...
No, absolutely not.
He didn't miss.
No,
even
stuff
even
slips.
John said it. I can't believe this dog. John has offered to buy him back for me. He's offered to give me 20 grand. He's, I'll give you 20 grand. That dog right now, I'll get you another.
You have no idea how much it upsets me as your financial advisor.
I know.
Yeah.
No.
I couldn't do it. I said, you want me to flip my dog? No, I'm not. It's not a house. So I can't do it.
And we had our dog for 16 years, and we had to put him down summer 2020. And then in 2023, these guys come showing us a picture of a dog.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to like the phone call that you got. You got to come see this puppy. He has a phone out at one of our client events. And he's like, you got to look at this dog. I'm not looking at your dog, George. Just know, I know how this works. As soon as I see the dog, I think he made it strategically waited until I'd had a beer. Actually, I think what it was is I went home and had a beer because I rarely drink at client events. And I think I texted you and I was like, just show me a picture of the dog. Because
Yeah.
I don't know, something just clicked about it. I think there was the story that you told about how there's this dog and he's been at protection school, but he's too nice and he's flunked out and the trainer's going to give him away for free. So I'm listening to this story. I'm like,
strict criteria.
right.
When you buy one of these dogs, you're talking $50,000, $60,000, $70,000
Right.
to buy the perfectly trained protection dog.
You don't want an okay protection.
And when one flunks out,
Right.
well, yeah, he may not be the perfect protection dog, but the training he still is.
Right. Well, those were the beer thoughts I was having. I was connecting those dots. Like, this is probably a pretty good dog.
I think you were like, it's just such a great deal. And I love great deals.
That's how my mind works.
Let me remind him because he has a short memory with some such things.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
We saw each other at the Apple Fest.
Yeah.
Apple Crest? What?
Sunnycrest.
Sunnycrest,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I said, don't tell Mike I'm showing you this picture.
I
Just
know.
he'll disown me. He won't work as a client. Just don't tell him. So you said, I think you said, I think I know someone that might want that dog.
Yeah, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law.
So I says,
yes.
give him my contact info and I'll take care of it from there.
Yeah. Great
And
memory.
And then you went and told him,
Yeah.
and I get a phone call. And
Tell me about this dog.
he doesn't
that's
even,
part of
he
it, too.
doesn't
He doesn't
even say
say
hello to
hello.
me. He says, George, tell me about that dog. And I said, oh my God, he's freaking mad at me.
Not only does he want a good deal, but I'm also like, hey, look at what your brother's gonna get. And he's like, that's my dog.
Yeah.
So
So then it went from there.
That's
Yeah.
funny. I
And
think
then
I
we
was
got
like
Argos a few months
upset about what was probably going to happen because I know when I started trying to sell her on the situation, she was like, "No, there's no way. It's a lot of
like-
work."
it's also beer thoughts you're
We
having.
had missed
and I'm
having
like,
a
are you
dog,
committed?
but also didn't miss some of the responsibility and all the extra logistics you have to work out whenever you
You
want to
have to wait.
go out or do something over a weekend. And so I did the whole bargaining thing. And it wasn't one of those deals where I was going to promise stuff and then backpedal later. I knew I'd be signing up as the dad, right, to do a lot of the work. But I just kind of believe kids should grow up with the dog. And our boys were so little when our last one had passed that I know that they didn't really have like a strong connection to it.
Yeah.
So it seemed like a really good opportunity. Even when we met him for the first time at Whitaker's place, she was like, I think she was a little scared because
Well, no, I just said, I grew up with shepherds too. I had two in high school, a male and a female. And my male was an all black 110 pound. He was a big guy. It wasn't so much I was scared of him, but we left there and I said, we're not going to get this dog. And I was still heartbroken over our dog. We lost at 16. I was like, I can't go through it again. And he was like, we're going to do it. And we did do it. And now fast forward to 2 nights ago, I'm singing lullabies to him on the ground, And I said that to you. I go, I'm so mad at you because this dog's going to break my heart one day because I love him so much.
But that's what happens.
he gets all the big exercise from me for walks and I do the food and all that other stuff. But she does all the fun stuff because he's obsessed with his balls. He'll chase balls all day
Want to
long.
rephrase that?
And so he loves balls. And so their thing is that he'll drop a ball in her lap and she'll just idly toss it, and they can do that for hours. Just like this
And then we
snatch
go
and
with the
grab
chucking in the
routine.
backyard too.
Yep.
We're just chucking up and down the hill.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that's why you're the dog father. I don't know how many times, like in the last year, when I don't
Dog
know
mother.
something was going on. Yeah, well,
Involved all
right.
the time,
with
right?
food, or I don't know, like should I do this at the vet or that at the vet? 'Cause I've been out of the game for a while. Plus, like my opinion on certain things about what dogs should or shouldn't do, like has changed. And so you guys have just been great sounding boards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or-
So thank you.
Having the German
welcome.
Shepherds, I think we've done a lot of research. You learn a lot over the years, right? From, like we said, having that first dog
Yeah.
from the MSPCA to having purebred dogs now.
Mhm.
And I don't think I'd go back. I tell people all the time, I would not get another breed.
Yeah.
They are so smart.
But
and
we will
so
stick with
loyal.
the working line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Show lines are great. Don't get me wrong, and I love
Right.
my female Reagan. But having a working line, male,
Yeah.
that's another thing. I'll never get another female. This is
Yeah.
our first male. You've met it. You know how my dog is.
Eight Samantha's.
He's just a charmer, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are. They're so smart. This is great dogs. Is it time for rapid fire questions?
It will be in a
Fun
short
part?
bit.
Okay.
I have a couple more questions for you guys related to we're finally starting to transition into retirement. It's going to be this year for you,
Yes.
George. Yes.
December 1st,
And then Karen, I'm not sure how close behind you are.
Same day.
about a day.
Same day. That's well timed.
One day before.
What kind of hopes or aspirations do you have when you start to consider your future and what you want for this part of your journey to look like?
Time. Just time to do whatever we want when we want. I keep using this saying. I'm tired of answering to the man.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, since grade school. It was the nuns, then high school,
Okay.
the brothers, then boss, you know. And I'm thankful for the jobs I had. I was very fortunate. But it's time. You know, 40 plus years of answering to the man. I want to get up when I want to know, mow my lawn when I want to do it. If I don't want to finish my lawn, I don't have to do it. I'll go out the next
That
day.
won't happen.
Hell yeah. Okay.
But you know what I mean? You just,
Right.
we're our own entity now, you know?
What comes to mind for you, Karen? What hopes and dreams do you have here?
Retirement.
I want to be able to go do some stuff that, you know, we've always said we wanted to go to Hawaii, bring the family. But I want to see other parts of this country, the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, just stuff like that. Stuff that, you know, I didn't do as a kid, but we hopefully have that opportunity now,
Yeah.
Okay.
you know,
So it's the same day. What's the day? What's the date?
December 1st.
December 1st?
December
my
1st.
birthday.
Yeah.
So do you have something planned for shortly thereafter to celebrate maybe one of these bucket list trips or similar?
Nothing
yet.
planned yet. Because we're going through things. My surgery. I still might have to do my knee surgery later this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have this joke around here, George, that people do nesting going into retirement. You
Yeah.
might remember nesting when you had kids on the way, right?
Yeah.
It's similarly retirees are like, oh, the car's too old. They better get a new car. I've always wanted to get new, like,
Oh, that's on the list.
And that's what we've been doing.
Yeah,
That's
see,
what we've been doing this past year. We did more this year around the house than
Yeah.
whole house generated. We took down trees in front yard, new grass, new liner in the pool, resurfaced the concrete around the pool. I mean, she's paying for all of this. That's what because we don't have any mortgage or anything.
right. But you're the first person I think that I know that their nesting list included, like, I got to get a new shoulder. I got to get a new knee. Like,
Let's
you
get
just
through the last
Do
year.
it. Do it
It
now.
is-
Get all rehab now.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
you'll be ready to go.
use that sick time.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
37 weeks of sick.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
I earned it. I'm going to use it.
Heck yeah.
at some point, probably in the middle of 2026, right? Because we have to give you time to be officially retired. We're going to check in on you.
Yep.
We're going to be making sure that you're living every day like it's Saturday.
Tell them what's planned for 2026.
Yeah. So this is what I want to hear. We need to know that when we
Check
check,
work you're going to do in the house.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, when we check in on you, what are some of the things that you'll have had to have done or accomplished or experienced to consider your first, opening year or foray into retirement to be successful?
Wow.
Yeah. Now, Karen,
That's a lot of
Karen,
time.
use this strategically because we're going to hold George's feet to this fire later.
George said he was gonna, so we can make sure.
Well, I mean, we have plans to redo some more stuff in the house.
You can get a German Shepherd named Sam
No.
No.
if you want.
No more
Okay.
Male
Sam.
Sam.
They
Sam
better not
Mary.
be because they're only 6 years old right now. These two
Okay.
going to last for a little while.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I haven't really thought about what we're going to do next year.
That's the beauty of it.
Right. Whatever you want.
Yeah.
You're retired.
I got my dream truck this year.
Okay.
She's going to upgrade hers this year.
Yep.
We're going to do the work in the house that we've been putting off for 20 years.
Yep.
So we got to plan that.
Okay.
And then after that, then we'll worry about travel and stuff. We'll still be only 61, 62.
Right.
Yeah, we've only had these conversations a handful of times, and when we ask this question, sometimes we expect for there to be like this punch list. Oh, we're going to do this, this, and this. A very common thing that we're finding in response to people like just looking forward to having leisure time,
Yeah.
To breathe. Right.
exploratory time. Like it's actually nice to not have an itinerary chock full of things that you have to do, especially for work.
Yep.
Maybe just figure out as you go. There's nothing wrong with it.
No.
Maybe you guys could breed or train dogs.
I might
No.
work with John a little bit.
Okay.
I've done it in the
Does
past.
John know this?
John asks,
Oh, okay.
Did he? That's cool.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
fun.
Yeah.
and I'm sure the kids have lists.
Yeah.
He excuse me. He uses our yard for some of his photo shoots and stuff because of the trees and the grass, and he does a little training in the back sometimes.
Awesome. That'd be cool.
Argos came
I get-
over
yeah.
for a lesson, like one time with Karen.
We
too,
get to
right?
meet all sorts.
Oh,
of
yeah.
dogs. He's got a dog right now. I showed you the picture of Steven Seagal's new dog.
So cool.
Oh,
Monster.
the monster, beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
That same working line temperament. He loves people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. It's really cool.
Jess, it's definitely time for your lightning round if you'd like.
Well, it's not just my lightning round, but we always like to ask a couple questions. I like to ask, what was the first concert you went to, and what was the best concert you went to? First concert, best concert.
Oh, that's easy because we've not been to very many, and Shania Twain.
Was that the best one that you've gone to, or was that your first one?
That was
That's what-
actually our first. We went with the kids, bought us the tickets.
Oh,
That's cool.
That was my
So-
birthday present, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
The
cool.
TD Garden.
Shania's great.
yeah, yeah.
My friend just went.
And you're gonna
Vegas
laugh.
to
You're
see
gonna laugh
Shania.
at the next one. Andre Rieu. You probably never even heard of him. He's huge in Europe.
Oh.
He puts on these fantastic. He what he says is he makes classical music fun,
Okay.
and he mixes in contemporary music
Yeah.
with it, and
He's a
classic
violinist.
violinist. It's
Yeah.
it's Andre Rieu
Conductor.
and the Johann Strauss Orchestra.
Well,
How in the heck did a lineman find this?
YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
showed up.
Right.
I saw one. Wow.
Okay.
And there's these tens of thousands of people, and they're having a great time.
Does he play stateside?
Yeah,
He comes to the
We went
United
to see
States
him
every now and then.
Oh,
in
so you've
Boston.
seen him.
We saw him last year at the TD Garden. Yeah.
Okay.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Oh, I
It's
don't-
very upbeat.
Virtually no one's ever heard of him around here, but the place was full.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
It was.
Great.
And
Question, especially for the Showcase Cinema Gal. What's the best movie of all time?
Oh,
oh boy.
best movie of all time or my favorite?
Your favorite?
Pretty Woman,
Okay.
my favorite movie.
Nice. Great
No
choice.
more. Richard Gere came out this week. He's a left wing loon. No.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Done.
Canceled.
Sorry.
Canceled.
See ya.
I'm
I don't
canceled.
care.
Okay.
Okay.
You gotta
You
stop
can't
listening to them.
Yeah.
Their first openness.
I don't like people that
One of my
are
favorite.
overseas and badmouth their country, and that's what he just did this week.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies though was Top Gun.
Nice. Good pick.
Yeah.
Okay.
George, what's your favorite movie?
You'd have to do a top 5,
Okay.
and none of them are current 1980 or
Debbie Does Dallas.
no.
We'll
The
give you.
fir-
We'll give you 2 more.
The first half of
We can do
Platoon
porn
because you
later.
stuffed in
Right
the
now,
second
we're gonna
half.
do
No, we're not going to do.
Adult films and then
Yankee Doodle Dandy with James Cagney.
Okay.
cool.
Have you
Jaws.
seen that?
I may have. I've seen some Cagney films.
It's a true story.
Yeah.
George M. Cohan.
Okay.
You'll know all the songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have so many. I really do. I like old movies. John Wayne, She Wore a Yellow Ribbon, Rio Grande, Fort Apache. Like I said, Jaws. How about some newer ones?
Yeah, I just told you last week my grandmother loved the Duke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big time.
Yeah.
Oh, you like the Reagan movie?
I'll tell you my favorite actors. Henry Fonda, left wing loon, but I liked them anyway. Henry Fonda, John Wayne, Jimmy Cagney.
A lot of them are left wing, George.
A lot of them
Yeah.
aren't.
You know, there's
A
no
lot of them
avoiding
aren't, but
it.
they just don't tell
Clint
you.
Eastwood.
You know?
Clint Eastwood.
Oh man.
But that song he sang, Don't Let the Old Man In, just days before he passed.
Yeah.
Outstanding song.
Oh, Toby Keith. Wrote
By
that
Toby
for,
Keith.
Oh,
for
yeah.
I'm
Clint
sorry.
Eastwood.
Well, Toby Keith wrote it for him in the movie.
I was like, Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, no. He wrote it for Clint Eastwood's movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Just the old actors and actresses.
Yeah.
To me, the Spencer Tracy.
I'm going to ask them the desert island question.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Okay. So if you had to be stranded on a desert island and the objective was to survive, what one member, and you can have different answers, each of you. What one member from your family or set of friends would you bring along with you? And for this one, I'm gonna let you bring a tool with you too, right?
Well, it would be either my brother Gary or my cousin, who's my godfather, Jack.
Okay. Why Gary? Why do you come to mind first?
They're both cut from the same cloth. Very resourceful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking that
Survivalist.
same thing.
Survivalist, yeah.
Okay.
Tourist, yeah.
What are you going to bring along with you to help survive? What tool would you bring?
Probably an axe.
An axe.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do a lot with an axe.
Good choice. I know.
I don't know what I would bring for a tool.
Who would you bring though, Karen?
His brother Gary was probably the first
Wow.
person that came
Nice.
to mind.
Gary's going to enjoy this.
Are
okay.
you mad that she picked Gary over you?
No.
No, he's just
That's
that
great.
type of
Karen, I'm going to
person.
help you. The tool to bring is a satellite phone. There, you just won the game.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I would bring an airplane to get off the island.
I don't know if that would help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't fly the airplane, so probably not.
Guys, this was super fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this with us.
Yeah.
Right?
you.
Time.
Yeah.
Thanks for being part of the family. Godmother, dog father, dog mother. Thanks for bringing Argos into our lives. He's brought a lot of joy.
Every time
to
I
the
come
family.
here, I hope they have the dog there.
He's here. We'll go see him in a bit once we wrap here.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm looking forward to the big date. You guys making the turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are we.
Awesome. Thanks for joining.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.